Good day, everybody. Hope your day's been going well. Welcome and thank you for spending your time with me this afternoon, on investigating child exploitation cases with ADF mobile and computer forensic software. I'm Rich Frawley. I'm your host for today. I am the digital forensic specialist with ADF Solutions. Been here about 3.5 years, going on almost 4. Prior to that, 22 years in law enforcement, 17 of those as an investigator and examiner, going out on search warrants, affiliate with the local ICAC, the whole kit and caboodle. So what we're going to do today is go through putting together a kind of an on-scene child exploitation type investigation. So taking like a cyber tip or some, if you're not working cyber tips, but you have some information up front that you can use in your case, we're going to show you how to put that together. We're going to show you different ways of putting it together on scene so you get the most, especially when you have multiple devices. Find and identify those photos you may have up front from cyber tips, using hashes and keywords, how to get those in, using the uniqueness of your case, if you will, to put everything together. And one of the things that I really love about the tool is linking of artifacts, taking that user information and tying it to the files. So the artifacts, such as downloads and recent files and messaging, and putting it together for you in the background, and then collecting all that communication, your chats, your texts, your emails, putting this all together in a short amount of time to help you build your case. And as a reminder, you're all going to receive a link to the recording and access to help and some of the learning videos that we have on scene. So a little bit about ADF. We have been around for over 10 years with our technological foundations rooted in forensic triage. The early years were on image identification, specifically with child exploitation cases. We had quite a few users in the beginning, and since then we have really developed this tool not only as a triage tool, but as an in-house examination tool. So what you'll see is how we can take this tool and really customize it to go from that low-hanging fruit up to a nice comprehensive examination. One of the nice things about the tool as well, you get the single uniform user experience. So what you're going to see when we're going through this is you can use this on your desktop in your lab, okay? That's where everything's going to start from. That's where you're going to create your search profiles to go out into the field, and I'll explain those in a couple minutes. That's where you're going to prepare your USB devices to take out and do live scans or boot scans. So when I say the single uniform user experience, so if you're doing a boot scan, if you're doing a live scan, if you're working from the desktop, this tool is exactly the same. There's no learning curve in between them. We also have what you're going to be seeing today is our Digital Evidence Investigator Pro version, which is Digital Evidence Investigator plus our mobile device investigator melded together into one tool. But if you have that mobile device investigator out as a separate tool, as the standalone version, it looks, feels, and acts exactly the same way. Really, really nice to be able to do that. Also, when I was talking before about linking artifacts, we also have this timeline view, really puts the who, what, where, when, and why together into one place, taking your files and your artifacts and your user activities and putting it all into one comprehensive timeline view, which can also be customized based on activities, based on people, based on time. So a lot of different ways to get to what you want with our tool. As I was saying before, we go from triage to thorough investigations. So if you're looking for that true out of the box, low hanging fruit, fast triage, we can take a drive, and it doesn't matter what size the drive is. You could be, 250 gig, 500, a terabyte, 2 terabyte. The size of it doesn't matter with this, because what you're looking at is the data that's on there. You're targeting to specific items that are on there. So with a real fast triage, low hanging fruit, keyword searches based on file name and folder names, and pulling out all that child exploitation related material, you could do that in like 5 minutes. And you can customize this from that 5-minute scan up until something that could take you, maybe 6 hours if you're looking at carving those images out of unallocated space. If you're not looking at carving images out of unallocated space, you could probably cut that in half. And again, depending on the drive, speed of the computer you're using, fast, low-hanging fruit in 5 minutes, thorough, comprehensive, everything from everywhere, and anywhere from an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, up to that 3 hours without carving. Again, depending what's on there. Portable reports, another part of our tool that I really, really like. Somebody can go out and do a scan for you, collect all that information off that computer, and then hand it to you in a standalone portable viewer, which is a fully functional analysis portion of our tool that does not require a license. So you can do a scan and hand it off to somebody. Somebody else could do the scan for you, hand it off to you. You can hand it off to prosecutors. Somebody could sit in their own cubby or cubicle and go through their case with what you've collected. And this will all kind of come around here the next couple of minutes to make sense if you have not seen our tool before. Another thing about the portable reports as a standalone viewer is it's great for archiving. So the end of the case comes, you've done all your tagging, you've done all your sorting, filtering, reporting. You can then take that whole collection, that whole case, put it off into the standalone viewer and archive it. And if it needs to come out 3 years from now or 2 years from now for court, it's going to come out like the day you put it away. Nothing's changed in it. It'll open up just like the day you put it away. You don't have to worry about backwards compatibility, and you don't have to worry about licensing or any of those issues. It is there for you to open and do what you need to do. No reinstalling software or any of that issues. Our search profiles. So if you haven't seen our tool before, our search profiles are a combination of artifact captures and file captures. And I'm going to show you these in a couple minutes. But it takes all those artifacts you want in every case and all the files, or the files you want, and you can target specific areas to collect from. And that's what a search profile does. Goes out and collects all that for you. We break them down in pre-configured scans: quick, intermediate, and comprehensive. I kind of gave you that layout when I was showing it to you before. Quick, general profiling, grabs the typical artifacts, does a keyword search on the child exploitation keywords against file names, folder names, really quick. Intermediate just adds a little bit more, pulls more information. Quick and intermediate target specifically the user profiles when collecting files, typically where your evidence is, gets the scans done faster, and gives you information to work with. So when we're talking triage, I always like to take it a little farther so you have more information to continue your case. And I'll go over that in a slide or two here as well. But having these pre-configured, we can copy and customize these. So I could take an intermediate profile that's based on child exploitation and bring in my own keywords, my own hash sets, collect specific files that I'm looking for, and really make it my own, geared towards exactly what I'm looking for. And as always, if you've ever dealt with us, support, like we like to say, we're second to none. But if you ever needed help building a search profile or wanted yours checked to make sure you set it up the right way, we're here to help you with that as well. So getting into this, just a little talk before I get into the demo. This won't take too long, but forensics, I've been in it since like 1999, and it's evolved, like nobody's business. We didn't even have the smartphones, back when we started this. That really started blowing up around 06, 07, and then triage. It's always been around. I was using it as early as 2001, but it really took off, around 2010, 2011. So things change. There's that need to get to the evidence faster, to make your decisions on scene, especially when we're dealing with people like this. People who are out there, harming kids, exploiting children. Um, we want to get them off the street. We want to make those decisions as fast as we can. We all know there were backlogs. There are backlogs. We don't like to wait. So we kind of give you that area to really sink your teeth into it, make these decisions so you can continue with your case and know with some of the things that you're searching for that you would be able to do preservation orders, for other accounts that maybe you didn't know were out there. Start doing arrest warrants if you haven't made a decision on scene. Start doing, preservation and search warrants for these accounts. Putting together people who are trading, things that are going on in messaging, making other referrals. You're able to do that right away, starting that day. So that's what I'm saying, like on-scene triage needs to evolve a little more, and it has, but we need to go from that, yeah, there's 2 images, I'm taking the computer to, okay, there's 2 images, there's 50 images, there's 100 images. I can tell these 50 came in through a download, they've been opened, and that these 50 came in through messaging with this guy. And all done in about the same time as that low-hanging fruit triage is done. We're there for your volatile data. So we're going to collect the RAM, especially, if there's a computer up running and live, we're going to collect that RAM first. We're going to look for the low-hanging fruit, and then you can go basic artifact collection and then gather more since you're there. This reduces what you're going to take back, family computers. You've got, the kids have their computers home from school with homework on it. You have spouses that maybe have their work computers home that they're doing reports with and work with, and they get caught up in something that they didn't even know was going on in the background. So you're able to leave those behind with scans, and also use it towards your advantage in your interviews and your interrogations and making the decisions to arrest. And like I said, I like that next level, that I'm here, I've already started this scan, so let me get more. Let me just spend 5 more minutes scanning this computer, 10 more minutes scanning this computer. I'm gonna have a lot more evidence that could keep my case going. As an investigator, I don't wanna stop today and wait for a full forensic exam to be done. I wanna move on with my case. You're the one with the unique information. You're the one who can make these scans work for you by taking in that uniqueness. So you're going to reduce the backlog for your lab. You don't need any further post-search or post-scan analysis when you do a scan like this. If you've asked it to collect it, it's collected it, and then that computer can be moved up. You'll have everything in your hand. The computer could be moved up to the lab for that further examination. And in the background, we're doing an up-to-the-minute report. Like I said, we're linking artifacts. We're putting anything you've tagged into the report or anything you've done on scene. We're justifying it. So with that, we're going on scene. All right, this could be done in the lab too. You could fit this in, but I'm just going to say it's on scene. You're going out, and you're going to want to go out prepared. So in this case, I have 4 computers and 2 cell phones that are going to be on scene, maybe a typical search warrant for you. 2 of these computers are on, 2 of them are off. So what I'm going to do before I go out is I'm going to prepare some USB devices that have the search profiles I need on it and 1 license, because that's all I have. 1 license with me. So how do I do this in a timely fashion? Well, here's how our tool works. I hook up the 4 USB devices to the laptops, right? I can start collecting RAM on the first 2 that are up and running. Still don't need my license. I can boot the next 2 that are powered down. I still don't need my license. I go to scan that first computer. It's booted up. It's a boot scan. Let's say it's a Mac or a Surface Pro that's off. Like I said, we can boot to this USB device. I want to start a scan, and then I introduce my license. When that scan starts, I take my license out. I go to the next computer, start the scan, put in my license, and then take my license back out. So what do I have here now? I have 2 computers that are scanning for me at the same time. I go back to the first computer, RAM is collected. Now I want to start my scan. I give it the license. Scan starts, take my license out, move to the next computer, put my license in, take the license out. Now I have all 4 computers scanning, and I have a license in my hand. So if I go to the 2 phones, I have a laptop on scene with me. I can back up the first phone, take that off, then back up my second phone. And then once both of those are backed up, I can scan both of them at the same time with that one license. And then when all that's done and they're all scanning, whatever one finishes first, I can go back, do the analysis, and make my decision right there on scene. So 4 computers, 2 cell phones, you know, we could have had those up and running in just about the time it took me to explain it all. So that's kind of how our tool works. If we had 2 licenses, you know, I could have had 2 laptops on scene, maybe doing more phones. Always good, especially when you're working with task forces. You know, you're gonna have a couple of extra licenses on scene. That helps you out as well. So let me set up my screen here. So this is Digital Evidence Investigator Pro. Again, Pro means that we've taken Mobile Device Investigator and put it together with Digital Evidence Investigator. So I now have computer and cell phone capabilities in one tool. The first thing you can do is go into Scan Devices and Images if you're working from a desktop, and you can see here anything attached to the computer is available for me to scan. Anything I attach through a write blocker, I could point it to a partition or a networked drive through folders or a folder that contains evidence. I can add a forensic image, I can add a phone, and I can add the phone backup. Then I would pick my search profile and my scan information. I can prepare a collection key. This is where I take that search profile, put it onto a USB device, which we call the collection key, and that's what we would take out and hook up to the computer that we either want to boot to or run live. I can image, I could review my results, and I can set up scans. So what I was saying before is we want to take these profiles and customize those with the information that we get through our cyber tips or through whatever investigation we have some upfront information that we want to bring in so we can make our scan unique to our case. So here's all those out of the box. You have my quick and my intermediate, right? So those are targeting user profiles only. I have mobile here. Those are for the mobile devices. They're geared towards data on there. I have some custom ones here. You can see I have custom. This custom one is made for pulling media off of thumb drives, off of non-operating system drives, external drives with used for storage. And then my comprehensive. So if I'm going out on scene, let me show you first. Let me show you, just moving something here. This would be a blank search profile. So I'm going to come in here and I want to start from scratch and build my own profile. We have our list of categories here to the left. And when I click on applications, I have a list of captures, and this is what would run. So categories, anti-forensic traces. It's a keyword search targeting anti-forensic tools, looking for file names, folder names, executables, so on and so forth. So it gives you a really quick view of whether anti-forensics are going to be something on this machine that you need to worry about. That includes encryption, wipers, sanitizers, all those different types of tools, cloud storage traces, application usage. Anything with an icon is an artifact capture, which means it goes out and parses out another file to break it down into individual records. That's probably the best way for me to explain that. So web browsing, it goes into a file that holds all the web browsing records, takes all those individual records out and displays it for you in an easy to read fashion. And if it doesn't have an icon, then they're file captures. So keyword captures would go in and collect any files or show you any files that matched keywords in there. We have our child exploitation section. So we have hash set, about 400,000 in here, and our keywords. And the keywords are your typical child exploitation keywords that you typically look for. Your Hussy Fan, your Lolita, your LS, your BD series, any of the other typical search terms that you'll see are in here, and they can be run against file names and folder names. They can also be run against content and metadata, and also, like here, we target it just in the user profiles. We'll get more into that. And then we have our communication, calls, emails, messaging, contacts. You can see all the different apps that we support when it comes to messaging and contacts, our device data, documents. This hash set here is custom. And why I want to show you this is you can create your own category, and you can create your own captures. Once you bring something in, you don't have to bring it in again. You just turn it on or turn it off when you customize your own profiles. So like here, if I wanted to run Project Vic, I would just select that hash set, and now that's part of my search profile. Same with keyword lists. You bring in your own keyword list. They're there to stay unless you delete it. It will be there for you to turn on or turn off. So what I'm going to do is go back here a little bit, and I'm going to take an intermediate child exploitation profile and copy that. It's the easiest way for you to start when you're going out into the field. Or building a profile, I should say, for your scans. So if I go into application, you can see it's going to do anti-forensic traces, application usage, installed applications. It's going to look for the peer-to-peer. So I have Emule, Shiraza, GigaTribe, uTorrent, BitTorrent, the search terms, traces, just in case there's any other programs being used, remote access, in case somebody else was accessing this computer, or this computer was accessed. They have a program to access somebody else's. You'll know that that's on here. And then your GUIDs here. Let's see, child exploitation. It's going to run a hash set in the user profile. So I said we give you 400,000, but if you're going to bring in your own hashes, I would turn that one off. See, it's that simple to edit this profile. But I'm going to keep my child exploitation keywords in file names. That's really low-hanging fruit. And then child exploitation keywords in the user profile. That will go through and look through content and metadata as well. Multimedia, it would go through and pick out all pictures and videos under 500 megs in size in the user profile. So again, we're going out and doing a triage. We're going out and doing an on-scene investigation. I don't necessarily need everything. I need enough to put my case together, make my decisions. And then anything over 500, we collect the video. We collect the video frames if it's over 500. So instead of trying to move over videos that may be 1 gig to 2 gigs in size, we'll collect the frames for you, and you'll be able to see the 50 frames of that. And then user data, web browsing history. One of the things in web browsing category is we have what's called saved credentials. And we have a profile that will run, it just runs that profile. It can only be done on a live machine, Windows machine. And it's the only profile where we suggest you turn off the antivirus, because when it goes through and pulls those credentials, it may set the antivirus off. But that would pull all usernames and passwords from the browsers and put that in a nice list for you. Man, that is so great when you're looking to do preservation orders, or you're looking for, you may find something on there that's encrypted and you need the passwords. It's a great treasure trove of information. So I've copied the intermediate. I could make my changes. I'm going to explain reference files somewhere else, so I'm going to turn that off here. So I have everything here. Now I want to bring in my case information. All right, I'm going to go through this quick. We have videos online where I break this down into specific tasks. So if you wanted to know how to bring in some keywords, we have that in a small video. If you want to know how to bring in hashes, we have it in a separate small video. So those are there for you as well. So I would go to new capture. So that's going to create a new capture for me. And I have options. I can collect files. So that would be me saying, I want to collect just JPEGs or MP4s, and I want to target a specific area of this, like user profiles or just the downloads folder. You can get as specific as that. Or I can use that to say I want all files from a specific location, or all files from everywhere. So you really have a lot of different ways to collect your files. Here is keywords. I'm going to go into that first. So if you remember, I showed you the categories on the left-hand side. I would come in here and type in K. My keyword category comes up. And then I switch over to the capture name. Here's where you want to keep it unique to your keyword list. So the next time you go to use it, you know exactly what it is. So if it was from a cyber tip, I could type in cyber tip, and maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the number of it. So now I know the keywords I'm bringing in come to this specific cyber tip. I can type in my keywords all at once or one at a time, such as that. I could type in my keyword. If I thought it was unique enough, I could assign a tag or a bookmark to it. Oh, and I can add a comment. Let's say this was a victim. I can put that information in under my auto comment. If I go all the way over here to the right to my function toolbar, I can import my own list. So if I go to, and I'm going to my case files, right? So everybody usually has case file folder, and I keep my keyword list in here. So there's my unique keywords. I open that up and it imports my keywords for me. So it imported Komoko, Shard Lake, Bulldog, Dalmatian, IP address. Typical things that you would get out of your cyber tip. And you can see I put in comments for him. So I have my suspect's username, somebody he may be trading with, 2 victims, and my IP address. And as I mentioned before, if I thought it was unique enough, such as IP address, I can set that to automatically bookmark if it finds that IP address during my scan. One thing it's going to do is automatically going to put it in my report for me. But more important than that, when the scan is running and it finds that, you'll see this color and the tag level show up on your summary screen. So you'll instantly get a visual. Oh, I got my IP address. So always good to have there. So brought in my keywords. Now I decide how I want to run my keywords. So first thing I said was file and folder names. The first thing our tool does when it runs is it makes a listing of every file and folder that's on that partition or drive that you're scanning. So it's a full inventory of file name and folder name, regardless of whether you collect it or not. As that list is made, it would run these keywords against those file names and folder names. That's fast. That's done in the first minute of the scan. So you'll have keyword hits, especially if they're unique, you may have some hits right away. The second thing our tool does is it parses out all those artifacts. So it parses out the web browsing history, the USB history, all those other, application usage, device information. It runs these keywords against that as well. So if these were any search terms in your web browsing history or located anywhere else, those would flag right away as well. And then the third option is the content and the metadata of the files that have been collected. So here, if I want to search keywords in documents, so I'm not going to collect any documents, but I'm going to say, okay, I want to search keywords against documents, maybe the internet files and the text files. So what it'll do is it'll go and search for these text documents. When it finds a document, it'll run the keyword against it. The next option is, how do I identify documents, internet files, and text files? We have three options. One is by file extension, so that would be your doc, docx, txt, HTML, so on and so forth. And that's it. It would just do by file extension. The second one is it would do a fast identification until it finds a file that does not have a file extension. And then it does what's called a file header analysis or file signature analysis. And it looks at the data of the file, it looks at the header of it and decides whether it's a picture, a document, or an internet file. That's still fast. It gets you more evidence because it's going to pick out a lot of files that say in cache. A lot of cache files don't have file extensions. And some of these app builders, what they've done is when they save a picture, instead of putting .jpg on the end of it to signify it's a JPEG image, they leave the extension off. So when a user's toying around in the files, they don't know what's what. So it would identify those as well. Your third option is thorough. It just skips the file extension and does a thorough file header analysis of everything on the machine and gives you mismatches. If something, it's actually a JPEG, but it was, they changed the file extension, it would pick up on that. But for out on scene, this center one, it's still fast and it's going to give you more bang for your buck. So that's where I would always thorough identification for files without extensions. We have video on that. I can get into it more with calls later. So let me move on. Looking for the keywords in documents, internet files, text files, that's how I'm identifying it. This is whether I want to look inside of archives, so zip files, tar files, RAR files, so on and so forth, and then file sources. Going on scene, I don't want to look at the entire file system. I really just want to look at what the user's been doing in the user profile. So I go to targeted folders. And if I go in there, we have in here for you users and documents and settings. And if you select those two, whether you're going in a Mac, a Windows, a Linux machine, it will target the user profiles on those operating systems and only search there. Saves you a lot of time. Again, more bang for your buck up front with speed. So looking for those files, searching keywords in those files, how I'm identifying them, where I'm looking, targeting the user profile. My next option is files referenced by artifact records. So what this does, and this is a biggie, if it finds a keyword in that document, it then takes the document and compares it to all the artifacts that have been parsed out. Not all of them, 6 of them, peer-to-peer, messaging, email, downloads, recent files, and browser cache. And if that file is linked to any of those artifacts, it automatically hyperlinks it in your report, and you'll be able to put user to file a lot simpler. And I'm going to show you that in results here in a little bit. And then deleted. Anything that has still has a reference in the file system. So it's not unallocated space, but anything that may be in recycle bin or orphan, so on and so forth. So I've made those choices. These keywords, I'm looking against file and folder names, other artifact records, and I'm looking inside of documents, internet files, and text files. My next choice is options. These are just regular keywords. They're going to run substring. I can use regular expression keywords, and a lot of our keyword searches that automatically run the child exploitation are done in regular expression for you. But if you were to use regular expression here, you would just need to select that and tell it it is regular expression. And then it's automatically going to collect files that match here. So you don't need to select that. I hit save. Now if I go to my keywords, there is my cyber tip 123456 is selected to run. I can export it and share it with somebody else who has this tool. I can delete it, I can copy it, I can edit it. Next, I'm going to bring in hashes. And I'm going to do this 3 times, and it's not going to spend half the time I did on keywords. This is going to go fast because I really want to see you guys see this run. So now I go to my hash set category, put in a name, unique hashes, and then a couple ways to bring them in. Google, Tumblr, any internet service provider has sent you a cyber tip with some images. You click on this folder, you find that case file. There's my case files, and there's the cyber tip files that they sent me. I select that folder. It will hash whatever files are in there for me. I can also say, if you find those, please bookmark or tag those. And if I'm using the VIX data, I can tag it according to those levels. So level 1 would be your child abuse material, 2 your child exploitation, 3 your anime, so on and so forth. I can follow that type with this. These names are also changeable. If I wanted to change level 1 to CAM or child abuse or further review, I can do that within our settings or within the analysis portion of our tool. I can also put in a comment here that is searchable in our results. So there were 16 files in there, it hashed them, and now they are part of my hash sets. Now I just need to tell it what they are. So same as the last screen with the keywords. These hashes are of pictures and videos. How do I want to identify them? Again, that thorough identification for files without file extensions. It's automatically going to collect up here. I want to look inside of archives because that's how they download a lot of these things in the RAR files, right? So it will look inside of those. It will look inside the documents in case somebody embedded them. I had a case where that's all the guy did was he downloaded them and put them into Word documents and saved them on thumb drives. And then picture database files. So your picture DB files, your thumb cache, your thumbs DB, it'll parse those out as well. So I select those. File source, again, keeping with my triage, I did the keywords to target folders, so I'm going to do the hashes the same way. That way, I'm not adding time. Files referenced by artifact records. If it finds a picture, it will try to match it to any of those records and deleted files. Again, if I'm doing a comprehensive, here's where I can carve. We're not going to select it going unseen, but it is available for you to do. I hit save. I go to my hashes, and there's my new unique hashes. If I have my own list, I can go back to hashes, and just to show you, once you do this a couple of times, there's my hash sets. Here's my list today, and I go to import CSV or text, and here I have my hash list. I pointed to that. It brought in 168 hashes. It deduplicated. There was already 3 that were in there. Again, pictures, videos, thorough identification. I want to look inside of all these and for embedded, and I'm going to target. Right? So you can see, even though it's a brand new tool for you, if you use it a couple of times, you're going to be able to just click right through this in the morning of your search warrant or the night before at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock before you go home. You could set this. You come in at 6 o'clock in the morning and do your search warrant. So now I've added that. There's my unique hashes. And the last way I'm going to show you is, again, hashes. If you're using Project Vic, and you have one of the JSON files, whether it's the entire set. I don't know if you'd want to bring the entire set out on scene, but there are ways to, just have category ones. You can point it to that JSON file, bring in those, and then again, put them in your hash set and Project Vic Cat 1. Then I hit next. And then show that they are pictures, videos, thorough identification. I'm going to look inside for embedded. I am going to target, right? I'm going to target, files reference, deleted files, save it. And now I've got in 3 hash sets, 1 keyword set, everything else that is part of this profile. And I'm going to name my profile, custom cyber tip today. And then I'm going to hit next. As soon as there we go. I can add fields to this. So if I'm going out and seeing, it's going to default to scan name, scan date, scan time, but I can add officer, agent, case number, room located in, type of computer, whatever fields I want filled out before the scan, I can put here. There's a couple more advanced options for skipping files that may bog it down, collecting protected files such as password protected. It will collect those for you so you can look at them later, or anything that may have crashed, or not crashed, crashed the parser, but something that the parsers didn't understand, it would collect those for you as well. You can also, for any of you that may have the need to be out in the field for more than 1 or 2 search warrants, maybe you're out doing a couple knock and talks, but if you're going to be out in the field for 16 hours or a couple of days, you can BitLocker these keys so that if anything happens to it, nobody else can get into it. So it'd be BitLockered. If you lose the key, you lose everything that's on there. And then we've added whitelisting. That would be more on your comprehensive end. So I've created this profile, and now I come into my library. It drops me back in here, and there's my custom cyber tip today. Well, that's great, Rich. You showed us how to customize, bring that all in. What do I do with it now? So here's what we do. I brought in all of my information to my setup scans. I go to prepare collection key, and now you can see here, there is my custom cyber tip today scan or profile. I'm going out on scene, so I'm going to want to take this custom non-operating system drives media. And all that is it's a comprehensive scan or a low-hanging fruit scan for multimedia. So if I have a storage drive and if I want to see if there's anything on there, I can either collect files by file extension, or I can run hashes against it, or I could run keywords against it. But that's what a custom scan like that would do. Because if I try to run an intermediate or a user profile against a storage drive, you'll get 0 results because it targets user profiles on operating systems. So you would need something like this. And then maybe I want to take out a quick low-hanging fruit for other family members. So I could put as many profiles onto this drive as I want. I select the profiles, I select the drive, I hit prepare. And what that does is it makes that USB device that you select, and we give you a 500 gig Samsung T3 with the tool when you buy it. It prepares that key. It puts a bootable partition on it so you can boot to Windows, Mac, or Linux. Also prepares it to run live so you can run live on a Windows machine, which we're going to do here in 2 seconds. So I would hit prepare. It prepares the key. It tells you when it's all done. I can prepare as many as I want. I can take out 75 drives. And this has been done. There was a task force that went into a business with 75 USB devices, hooked them all up and started the scans, and then went behind with the license and made sure the scans were authenticated. All 75 computers ran at once, and then they made their decisions on whether they were going to seize it, image it, or leave it behind. So a little off track there. So once that's done, now I exit out of the tool. Let me get out here. So I go on scene, and what I do is I plug in that USB device, and you can see that USB device I have auto open. So I plugged it in. This is the USB device. There's a start.bat file. Now I'm on the target machine. I'm on the suspect machine. I've plugged in the USB device. I hit start. So live machine. Plugged it in, executed the program. You're going to see here that ADF is going to pop open in the screen. There you go. And one of the first options I have down at the bottom is to create that RAM dump. So as soon as if I click that, as soon as I click it, it's going to start collecting RAM and saving it right to that USB device. Very simple. When it's done, it'll say it's done, and you just move up to scan device. So what this gives me is everything that's attached to the computer. So you can see over here, there's a couple of external drives. There's a lot of partitions on the system drive. I have my search profile. I took out the quick, I took out a custom, and then my custom non-operating drives there. So what I would do at this point is select the drive that I wanted to scan, or the partition, the profile that I want to run, and then over here, scan name. It defaults to the date and time, but I highly suggest giving it a name so you know exactly what you're scanning, or when you go back, exactly what you're looking at or what you scan. So it's my cyber tip 12345. It is the suspect Dell computer. Date and time are fine, and then I would hit scan. And here's what I was talking about before. It's asking me for my license. So I could have collected RAM. I did collect RAM, and I go into the scan. I go to scan the computer, and now I plug in my license, and you should see it pop up here. All right, so I plugged that in, it popped up, and then the scan will start in the background. Once that scan starts, I can pull that license out. Now you see that disappear. So I pulled out the license, the scan is still going on, and I can move on to another computer and start that one. So kind of like I showed you at the beginning. So the first thing our tool did was made a listing of every file and folder that was on that partition that I'm scanning. You can see here under anti-forensic traces, I've already got one hit in keywords. Under my unique cyber tip keywords, I'm already up to 197. So it made a listing, ran the keyword search, parsing out all the artifacts, that's all the ones with the icons, and it ran the keywords against that. So if this was on scene, and I just started it, we've only been into this, about 30 to 45 seconds, I could already say, yeah, I think I'm at the right place, because these are my unique keywords. There was words like Komoko on here, and Bulldog, and Dalmatian, and Shard Lake. Not every computer is going to have that. So the uniqueness of my case was able to put that together. You can see keywords in the file names. I got 3. It's going up as we're going through right now. It's got 3 there. What else do I have running in here? You can see I ran on this one a virtual disk locator. So a lot of people do work in VMs. So you may be running this and not getting any hits. So this isn't going to parse out your VM, but it's going to say, hey, there's some VMs on here you're going to need to look at. If you look up at my matches pane, you can see it hit some keywords, but I got some pictures of some canines, and I didn't mention it yet, but in this case, the canines are your contraband or your child exploitation material. Why? They're easy to recognize and a lot easier on the eyes. So just by looking at it, you can say, oh, look, there's some pictures of dogs that went by. you know you got what you were looking for. So if you're truly one of those low-hanging fruit and I just needed to see it to seize it, and I'm not going to do any more, then you're already done here. You can stop the scan. Everything that you've collected is on that USB device. A report is already being built in the background, and you can move on to your next computer. You know this already, so now instead of shutting it down, I can now say, okay, we're going to seize this one, but let me move on to the next computer and see what that has, and let this collect some more information so I can put my case together, right? So I can have the information that I need. Now you see it's going into collecting the files. It's starting to pull files out of the user profiles. Streaming across is starting to get videos, pictures. I can hide that. It's called the matches pane. So if I'm using this in like a knock and talk or a consent type search, and you don't want somebody walking by and seeing it, or somebody walks into your office that doesn't typically see this stuff, or there's somebody on scene, you know, maybe there's an intern that shouldn't be looking at this stuff, you can hide that. You're still going to get visual cues on the bottom. All right, I've let that scan. So what I'm going to say is, yeah, I'm going to stop this scan, you know, and because I want to get you in and show you analysis really quick and show you how fast that could be done on scene as well. And again, everything I show you, we have online in little itty bitty videos to show you exactly what to do in case you forget one section. I'm just going to go right into view results here just to show you that whatever I've collected is on that USB device and is here. In 3 minutes, I've collected 705 files and made all this information. What I'm going to do is shut this down. I am going to start like I went back to the lab, and you could do analysis on scene. I showed you there, I went into the view results. I can start tagging and bookmarking and doing that on scene and starting my investigation and locking it in. And by locking it in, now when I get back to the lab, it asks me to back it up. You can back it up, or you can still review it from the USB device. But let me go into these results here. So this is that same partition, same drive. This was a live scan. It took 9 minutes. It was a typical user partition. If I run this on a boot scan and I'm not doing a demo live like this and using my system resources, this typically takes about 4 minutes. So again, your mileage will vary based on the computer you're using, the memory, and the resources being used at the time you're doing it. But you can see up on top, this automatically bookmarked 85 category 1 files. That would have shown up during the scan. But when I go into review results, you can see here now I've got all these pictures of the dogs. That's contraband. I've got my my tag level 1, so I know that they're tagged. I know that that's the contraband. I know I can make my decisions based on that. And I know I don't need to see these. So I can go into tags in my filter view, and I can say, just show me items that don't have a tag value, and it'll filter those out for me. Now you can see all these pictures that have the little red magnifying glass. Those are what's called matches. And that means it's a match on one of my keywords or one of my hash values. So now if I filter that and I look through, I say, oh, look at all the good stuff I have here. So I can select all these pictures and I can bookmark those as well based on whether they're category 1s, 2s, whatever you have. And I could turn that matches filter off because now they're tagged, and now this is what I have left to do. But let me just go back and show you referenced files, or those files referenced by artifact records. So I got a picture of a bulldog here, and that's contraband. But if I look in my properties below, it shows it came in through a download history. So I can click on that. It would take me to the download, show me all the information on that reference file. Shows me recent files. So that means it's been opened. So these are either link files, jump list, or MRU. I can see here the path. I can take it to the path and see what else is in there, but I can see that's user created. And then we have the last written time and the created time. So if I go to last written time, it takes me to that timeline I talked to you about. And the timeline breaks this all down into all the artifact records and files and user activity melded into one comprehensive timeline. So I can see here, here's the picture, there's the link file created, and then if I go up a little farther, there's where the download was completed, there's where the download was started and where it was saved to, and then here is the URL, imagesource.ru, where they went to get the picture. But I can keep going up and down and see what he was doing that day, maybe pick up some more evidence, really put a good hurting on him as far as what he was doing. But I can create based on activities, USB, network connections, signed on, signed off, email received, messaging, so on and so forth, and principals and recipients. Videos. I was talking before, we collect frames, first frame, last frame, 48 from in between. So I can set it on my top video and I can arrow through and get a pretty good idea what's in each video. And then if I come across something that I'm not sure about, I can hit my preview pane and then watch that video. So I don't need to stop, and scrub through everything, but I do get to see, if I need to, I can. Our keywords. Here's that keyword shard lake that I used. By looking at this, just by looking at it, I can see that I have keyword hits in files and folders, browser cache, calls, emails, messages, and contacts. So if this is one of the people I thought was trading, I would say, yeah, I've established a relationship here. Timeline, files, and reporting. So anything that has been bookmarked is automatically placed into the report. We have HTML, PDF, CSV, VIX, and standalone. Here's my category ones. There was 13 caught in keywords. There was 44 in the cyber tip hash, 171 in my list, 41 project VIC, 2 in my unique keyword names, and then 230 were pulled out of the user profiles. And then if I want to add my summary page, my device info, operating system info, I can add that and build a report. PDF, CSV, VIX, if I want to export all my media and then bring it into Griffi or something like that, I can do that here. And then that standalone viewer I talked about earlier. One more thing before I go, I want to show you the phone, and I'm sorry I did talk a little bit longer here, and thank you for sticking with me. Not setup scans, let me go back into review scan results. So I did a phone on scene, right? I remember I said at the beginning we can do it all. So here's an iPhone 6 that was scanned, and let's say, well, I didn't customize this one, but I ran just a regular profile against it. So I could bring up my images and I can go through here and see, yep, I got some of these pictures up on top, no problem. And if I ran that iPhone, let me jump into that real quick because I want to show you a quick way. Let's say I'm looking for something in messaging, but I've got, like, my phone alone's got 16,000 messages on it. But I can come into my filter and go to my linked artifacts. And you can see here, one of the linked artifacts is messaging. And then this would be all the pictures that were sent by message. So let's say this second one, or this first one, there's a dog. If I select this and bring up my properties, I can see here my linked artifact is messaging. I could click on messages. It's going to bring me exactly to that message here of when it was sent, who it was sent between, to and from, any messages that were there. And I could go up, there's Molly Dog by there. I can look and see that this was sent through my source, which is Kick Messenger. So I would be able to go into my filters, go to source and click on Kick. And now I'm only looking at Kick messages. So I would be able to, you see I took the photo gallery, narrowed that down, which brought me to my messages, which I narrowed down a little further. So we're all about getting you to the evidence as fast as we can. Let me just hop back out here. Do a little swap here. All right, so support. I was talking to you before about those videos that we have specific to some of the things you've seen here today, like adding keywords, add hashes. All our webinars would be up. You will see that under our Learn tab. Help at adfsolutions.com, our knowledge base. So if you have any questions when you're using the tool, and of course, support. We are second to none when it comes to that. We have our standalone mobile device investigator, which just does the cell phones. And this is great. It's logical only. You have to have access to it, but you're going to get the scans like you saw I had here, all for that low price of only $1,200. We have MDI, DEI, Digital Evidence Investigator, Triage Investigator, which is not customizable, but you can import profiles from Digital Evidence Investigator, and Triage G2, which has our Rosoka add-on built into it, which is our language entity extraction and language, 230 languages that will be translated, give you the gist of documents. And any one of those tools, you can add MDI to it. That's it. Are there any questions? Thank you guys for hanging around. I know it's a couple minutes after 4 here, which is usually blow the whistle, quitting time, slide down the tail of the dinosaur. But that is our tool used in a child exploitation case. It is fast, it is quick. Once you've had some use on it and some training on it, it really is second nature, and you'll be flying through these. With that, I want to thank you all. I don't have any questions that came up here. Tryadf.com, TRYADF.com, if you would like a trial version of any one of our tools, you can go there as well. So again, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend as well.